Hi all. Right, Allied Impulse will be next. Now, I've not managed to upload that other video yet, which I was saying I was a little bit concerned about how the things went there. Don't know though. I don't know if I've done anything really that could break things. So, I was hoping to get that up there and maybe see if any comments before I started, but as usual, I've got a bit of time and so I'm going to just move on. We'll keep our fingers crossed that there's nothing major. Okay, I've got, well, just to let you show you my hand again. So there's my hand, and I had talked about I've got 5th core units, 3 5th core units, about using that to deploy them. And I might well do that, but I think what's maybe more important is the 18 core. And I've got the core card, but I've also got the division card here. It deploys 7th Armour and 82nd Airborne. Well, 82nd Airborne aren't around yet, but it deploys the 3 7th Armoured units that we've got in the reserve units box. So I'm as well using this. To be honest, the combat tactic is the same on both cards, but use this to deploy the units, and then I could use this to activate the whole core, so makes sense. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to play this division card and grab these 3 7th Armoured units and get them deployed. Now, they all need to deploy in the same hex, remember. But their division's not on the board yet, so in their core area on a supply road, at least 3 away from a German unit or German town, and within 3 of a unit in the same core is what we'll be looking for. So let's see what we think would be the best spot for them. Okay, before we go on, I've just realised a blunder that I've made. And it's mainly because I just didn't look at the calendar when I moved on to the 17th, which I've done every day on the German Soul, just to check the new rules, because that tells you where new rules will come in. And on the 17th, the fixed artillery range is still the same, it's 3. The supplemental cards go up to 5. Now, I did read that because we had to deal with that in the card preparation phase. And now at hand size went up to 5. But I didn't then read the extra rules that got added on the 17th. And to be honest, both of them might have had some influence on what happened. The first one is German extended move, which involves the movement method within 9.2 movement method 10. I'll come to that in a second. But the other one, probably more importantly, is placing German detachments, which starts on the 17th too. And any time a German unit moves out of a position hex, I think you put a German detachment there. So, fortunately, we've only had the one impulse there with the 1st SS. So I should be able to find out where the detachments are going to go. As for the extended move, that's movement via arrows, isn't it? Silly Grant, silly. Guess if I'd looked at the rules, it probably would have clicked when I started moving the units about. Okay, give me a sec. Right, what I think I'm going to have to do here is have a wee look back on the video, but we should be able to fix this. I've not looked at the detachment markers yet, but there's a chance some of these the west wall's not getting them as well. I'll have a look. The extended move part of it is starting 17th. A unit that is not adjacent to an allied unit upon expending its full movement allowance per method 10 continues moving in the direction indicated by movement arrows. So it's a bit like what the Germans had before, like strategic movement, where they get a bigger movement allowance. A mechanised unit expends up to its entire movement allowance again, so if it's got 5 movement, it gets another 5 movement, up to that anyway. And an infantry unit expends up to 2 additional movement points, so pretty sure that's the same. Yeah, it was always an extra 2 for infantry and double for the mechanised. Yeah, that's the same. During the extended portion of a unit's move, it may not move adjacent to an allied unit, may not enter an allied town or city, and may not cross an allied bridge. So again, it's kind of strategic movement, but they're just calling it something different. Okay, so I get the feeling there was one, possibly a couple of units that moved with movement arrows. So I'm going to have to look back, have a look at that, see if I can find them first. And while I'm on it, well, maybe we'll just browse over the detachment, but hang on a sec. So just to give you an example of what these are, German detachment represents small garrison forces tasked with patrolling German rear areas and flank positions. They are similar in some ways to Allied roadblocks. But the way I was going through them, it made me wonder if I was doing it right. Like I say, I think mentioned that earlier, that I run out of chits and there's quite a lot of them. So it says 15.1, we're away at 15 here, rule 15, German detachments. 15.1 is placement of detachments during German activations, and it starts on 17 plus. Beginning December 17, each and every time a German unit moves or advances out of a hex with a printed hold value, leaving the hex vacant, place a detachment mark on the HV hex. A detachment may be placed in a hex adjacent to an allied unit. And then it says a German unit with more than one route to its destination hex is considered to move along the route passing through hold value hexes with the highest total value. So you've got to consider that if you don't actually make the move that way. And then do not place detachment markers in map edge hexes and hexes adjacent to map edge hexes. So now what do? They don't move, they don't attack, defend, retreat, they just stop. Detachments don't block the tracing of allied supply. Effects of them. An allied unit must stop its movement or advance after combat upon entering a hex adjacent to a German detachment. So that's how it says. It's a bit like a roadblock. It's got to stop when it comes adjacent. And an allied reserve unit may not be placed in or adjacent to a hex with a German detachment, but may be placed 2 or more hexes away. A retreating allied unit may enter and pass through a hex adjacent to a detachment marker, but may not enter a hex occupied by a detachment marker. So they're just going to prevent us from moving about and messing with our reserve placements. So, but also starting on the 18th, some of these detachments can be removed and reserves can be placed in their spot. There's quite a lot involved in the detachment, so we'll need to get on top of that eventually, but a good way to do that would be to start operating the rules the right way, Grant, when they come into play, wouldn't it? Yes. Okay, let's have a glance back and see if we can fix this before we move on. Okay, I'm just watching back here. So the first thing that kind of happens is that there was all this carry on with this unit moving out to let the stacking issues and whatever. So the 1st Infantry unit did move through this hex. This has got a whole value of 5. So that was one. And while we're at, that was where the rest of the units were. So they've all moved out of there. So there's definitely 2 detachment markers there. Now there was a unit started there, but there's no hold value there. And there was a unit there, but there's no hold value. So I need to look further. Of course, you've got to consider that although this might not be the route, they might have went through that hex. Because this is only other 5 I've got actually, isn't it? That's down. I'll just have another wee look over it, but they're definitely leaving detachments in day 2 hexes. And to be honest, these are probably not that relevant. You know, it's when they start moving west and spread them about that they cause trouble. They're probably not going to do them back here. And you do remove, you can remove them at the end of the day. If certain supply issues, if they can't trace supply to them and whatever, we'll get to that. Okay, the next one I found was this unit. He was up here, and we were trying to move him with movement arrows, so that might have turned into an extended move option, but he ran out of movement. He wasn't able to spend all his movement, but he did move from here 1, 2, 3, 4, here being the relevant hex, 5, 6. So a detachment would have been placed in there as well. Yeah, I think that's everything. These 3 detachments. This hex here, according to what I've seen, there was no way of a unit going through that hex. Like I've said, these are probably irrelevant detachments back here. But it does say in the rules that if a movement could be made and go through that, it would have left a detachment. But I can't see it. Now, the only unit I think that moved with movement arrows is one of the infantry units that's underneath here. And I think he was here. And if you recall, we went movement arrows with 1, and the primary arrow was into there, but that would only cost 2. But it can actually go 1 secondary arrow, primary arrow for 3, and that's what we've done. But the extended move only applies if you end up not adjacent to an allied unit. So I believe he was the only one that I moved with arrows, and he ended up adjacent to an allied unit, so he couldn't have moved any further anyway. So we've caught that just in time, if you like. Well, almost. I'm going to have to make some comments. I've just started putting the video together as well, so it's probably just going to be in the within the beginning of the video, within the comments at the beginning. I'll just put something saying that I'd forgot about them, but we're going to discuss it and fix it now. So yeah, well, I'm glad I never went into another impulse and started moving all stuff about, because that would have got hectic. This is the thing, you don't catch these things in time, and then this is why I'd like to put the videos up there, and when you guys could say, you know, that's not right, Grant, and then catch it in time, if you like. But okay, so I think that's that, and hopefully we'll stay switched on with them now. And if I happen to go wrong with detachments, please let me know where I'm going wrong, because it just felt like they were all over the place. And every game I had, whether it was 2 or 3 games I've had of this, well, I ran out of the markers, so I don't know. Okay, back to the Allied Impulse. Let's find out where we're going to deploy these units. Okay, just some initial thinking here. I started thinking about this hex maybe being good to deploy them here. Yeah, it's within 3. But just after thinking, yeah, that's a good hex. They can protect this fuel marker. We've got the Piper unit here, which we know can get. We're going to see the card at some point that's going to allow the Piper to ignore zone of controls. I mean, okay, does that matter where the units are? I don't know. But it might get a bit cheeky up there. It only happens on the 17th for him. So, but here's the thing: I've got 3 elite infantry units. At least I think they're all elite. No, 2 of them are elite. One of them's line quality. The 5th Corps that need to be deployed north of there. So me deploying the 18th Corps into an area where the 5th Corps can be deployed seems maybe not the best idea, and maybe I should bring them down. I mean, they're mechanised units, they can get a move on, you know, but it's possibly a bit better. Well, here's the other thought. Maybe I should deploy the 5th Corps units first if I'm concerned about this, but I don't think that's the case. I'd like these 18 core units to maybe try and help this guy. When we try and trace supply the end of the beginning of the next turn, this guy can't trace supply. But if we can get a unit in here, I don't know if that's clever or not though, because it's risky to put our units in there. But it's like it's going to be 4 movement to move into either of these 2 forest hexes, and I can't place them. Yeah, because I can't. That's not a road, and that would have been 3 away as well. And then I could have went 1 and an R4 into there, but I can't place that because that's not a road. Yeah, I actually do think I'm going to place them here. It's the only hex I can place them where if I activate them, I can go 1 and then another 4 movement into the forest. If I feel like I want to do that. I did have another thought there about the 5th Corps units could be placed here, and their infantry, they could go 1, 2, 3 into there to help, but yeah, okay, make a decision, Grant. I'm going to go with this. Am I? We've got the card to activate these, and we could use it next turn. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm spending too much time thinking about it. So, like I say, it's just as well you don't need to watch what happens when I pause. Yeah, okay, let's do that. So that's our impulse over. It was there. Right, and we played. Oh yeah, because we played the core artillery last turn, didn't we? So we're gonna get to draw up to 5. So we get to draw 2 cards, leaving only. Well, there's an R3 still because we put the core artillery back, of course, didn't it? And then we've got another no command. So we've got 2 no commands and an 8 core. Well, that's good. Mind you, it's really the 12 core one we want to get. They're the other reserves that we want to deploy. Anyway, yeah, that's how it is. Gonna have to work out what we're doing with them. We've got 2 no command cards now. And I'll just put a. Oh no, I was deploying reserves. I've not activated them. I don't want to put a cube on them. Okay, so right, back to the Germans again. Let's do it. Right, let's get the next 2 German cards. Oh, it's a Piper card. Right, okay, so that's a primary and that's a support card. Okay, what we actually want to do is put the cards in the correct boxes. I'm hoping to make a cut here, just to make it look good and make it look like I've played these in the right place. Yeah, unfortunately I made a mistake. I've seen it and I've went on quite a bit with this, like this. I played out the 67 core and what they were doing, and had another impulse myself, and then watched back in the video and realised that You know what? I was scratching my head. I was thinking, it seems a shame that like you can't use the Piper card because it's getting used as a. It's always going to go in this box, and it's more than likely going to be used as a combat tactic. And then it sunk in, then it clicked that there's a special rule to stop that from happening, guys. When you draw the Piper card, I say the Piper card, well, when you draw this card number 38, because it's not just the Piper, it's 150th Panzer Brigade as well. Under 8.14, if the two command cards drawn at the start of any, and this is just for the 17th or the 18th, if the two command cards drawn at the start of any German impulse include the Piper / 150th Panzer Brigade card, select this card as a command card, even if the other card is primary or has a higher command value. Yeah. So that means you're always going to get to use this, because it's unlikely you're going to get to use it if it sits in that box, and that's why they've had to bring that sort of exception in there or rule in there. So unfortunately I played through a bit and I've realised that, and then I thought, well, can I skip over it? And I thought, well, no, I can't, because the next Allied impulse I made was, what I wanted to do was moving these units into a better place, and I think one of them I put here. Well, Mr. Piper's right here, so I'm pretty sure he's going to do something, because remember, he can ignore zone of controls. So I'm having to go back and redo this, I'm afraid, but yeah, it's just one of these things. I was gutted when I seen it, and I was like, it just sunk in, and I thought, oh no, dear. Okay, one other thing I brought up that I had noticed when I was recording the bit that you're now not going to see, was bridges, and I think there was the only one, but we crossed this bridge. Well, sorry, the Germans crossed this bridge, so it's a German controlled bridge, and then I also reminded myself that these are all bone bridges, but these are actually German controlled, just for the sake of whether they might fix them, but if they fix them, they're German anyway. So yeah, I had missed the fact that I not put a bridge control marker, because that one does start as an Allied bridge, so now it's not. So okay, so just to chuck that little bit in there, and yeah, I think I've put things back how they were. So yeah, let's just push on and do this properly. Because I wouldn't have been comfortable with missing this, because it's quite an important part of this. It might not do anything terribly amazing, but the fact I'd moved the Allied units as well, I probably wouldn't been able to do that, or something might have changed my mind as well. Anyway, hopefully I can attach this on, and I was halfway through the video, so hopefully I can skip the second half of that and just add this bit on instead of the bit that I had recorded. I mean, it was basically just this core activating, but admittedly there was a combat, but I managed to put the chits back that I'd used, and reset things. So basically, you'll never know. You'll never know it even happened. Okay, but I'm sure maybe. I don't think I've been caught out with that in the past. I mean, like I say, I probably have only played the Allied solo about 3 times. I don't feel like I've been caught out with it, but you could see how you could easily do what I'd done and just say, oh right, this is a primary card, it goes in there. This has got a 0 as well, you know, which doesn't help it. The fact that you just think, put them there. I'm pretty sure others have done that and then not seen this card actually how it works. But however, okay, so let's see if we can do it then. What are we doing? Well, it's basically just we're activating the pipe, because this is the 17th we're on, right? So on the 17th it's going to activate the piper. And when we draw it on the 18th, the same thing's going to happen. It's going to go in the command box and we're going to activate the 150th on the 18th. So they're both definitely going to happen. So that's a way of that. That rule's in there to make that happen. So we're going to activate piper, ignoring allied zone of controls. Okay. So yeah, I just went back and double checked the primary card that's now in the German support card box. There's no event on that card, because obviously we would have looked for an event to play that first. So it says about the piper on 17, if the command is a unit activation on December 17th, activate only the piper unit with the ability to ignore ally zone of controls during regular movement only. And it's got in brackets, does not apply to extended movement defined in 9.2. So if he decides to do extended movement, I'm assuming he can't ignore the zone of controls then. Right, we'll see what happens then first. So again, we're going through the activation, so there's no roadblocks adjacent to him. His objective marker is, this is a thing, it's down in St. Vith, isn't it? Got that on camera. I'm quite zoomed in there. I just figured I was just zooming in on Piper. Yeah, so it's still down at some. Oh, wait a minute. Right, what's happened there? It's going to move. But the reason it's going to move, Grant, is because you didn't do things properly before. Okay. It is going to move then. Because I've just about got it in the camera, haven't I? Well, you know what? Just zoom out a little bit, Grant. There's a German unit within 2 hexes of it. The 6th Panzer Army objective marker. So we're going to change that. We're going to move that. Okay, so I'm going to roll a dice, yeah, because that's going to move. Now, there's a bigger selection of places where this goes. Oh, it depends where we are first, yeah. Where are we again? St. Vith. Yeah, no, I say it depends where we had been originally, that's what it was, yeah. So, roll this. Let's see what we get. Right, get that, it's a 6. Yeah, 6. So, and we're in St. Vith. So we cross-reference St. Vith with a 6 and we get Manhay North. So, okay. It's just a wee bit further west than pretty much where he is. So this is going to get adjusted to Manhay. It was north, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it was just on the camera. Sorry. Try to adjust things here. Right, so it's moved from there to there. Okay. So that might change things a little bit, although maybe not so. It might not be that big a deal. Okay, so now we're going to try. We're going to move the Piper unit. Basically, just going through the movement methods again. So I'll have a look, see what we get. Wow. Okay, I came to movement method 2, closer to objective and next to VP hex. And I thought he was going to be a bit restricted because he's not on a road. Well, actually, he is on a road. But he's got a forest, you know, if he's going to go this way. But closer to objective, and adjacent to an allied VPH. Watch this. Remember, he ignores zone of control. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then he's down adjacent to St. Bath. He's closer to his objective, which is along in Manhay there. And I thought, okay, that seems like, and then I thought, right, just felt like he was out in the middle there. Is there any restrictions? And he's going to get stuck with do not move a unit if doing so will cause a currently surrounded allied unit to become no longer surrounded. Because he's surrounding this unit. And him moving out of there obviously then enables that unit to, even if he did move to there, the unit can still move into that hex. So that could be a bit of a bummer. So maybe we're not going to see him do anything funky. Right, well, I'll go through the other movement methods and see if they can do any of them then. Yeah. Okay, I've got to movement method 11, move closer to army objective, and I think he can do this, but it just feels a bit weak. So he's not going to be able to move adjacent to an allied unit. Because what he's got to do is keep this guy surrounded with whatever he does, because he's restricted into that. He could actually move there. It's 4 movement points. So wait a minute. Now, does he need to break? No, he's got he ignores allied zone of control, so he doesn't need to break zone of control, as in with extra movement points. So I think he could go there for 4. This guy's still surrounded. But he could actually go there for another 1. And that guy's still surrounded. So I think that's the only 2 hexes that he can go into. Yeah, the only allied unit I can see him moving towards that keeps the guy surrounded would be this stack of armour up here, because he can actually move up to here and keep that guy surrounded. But this is like, I mean, you're only considering that unit, so there's no way that's a 3-to-1 advantage. They're all 4 strength, aren't they? So it's 6 against 12. So yeah, that's not really a goal. So that would mean that you look at the second bullet of move closer to army objective. If no hex or more than 1 hex, move to the hex closest to the objective, which would mean 4 movement into there, and then 5 movement into there, and then, I mean, both the hexes are closer, but that's the closest, obviously. Oh, yeah, I was saying, why can't we go down here? But then that then breaks the surround. So that hex there would keep that guy surrounded. I mean, it's not a terrible place for him to be, I suppose. It's just the fact that he's been part of this restriction. He's been part of this around, you know. Now, one thing that could come into this, I remember something that got me for quite a while within the German solo game. I know I keep going on about it, but as the restrictions. When you had the restrictions, and took a while for Martin to hammer it into my head to get me to understand it. I can't really explain it here because my head's full of allied solo rules, but what I can say is you didn't consider restrictions while you were looking at the Allied action cards. I mean, this is maybe totally different, but what I'm wondering is, I don't know if I should be considering these restrictions the way I am or not. You know, the way I'm using this movement method, but to keep this guy surrounded, that feels like that might not be the right way to be doing it. You know, and maybe the case should be that he doesn't move at all. Then again, we've got to still activate him, surely. I mean, yeah, well, that's the only option on the card actually, is to activate him. I was looking at the A there, but that's activate Piper and 150. But that's outside the dates that we're on. We're on the 17th. That's not within the dates. So like I say, I'm just wondering if I should be doing this the way it is. The way I'm reading it, I think that's where he would go. Just it's one of the ones that doesn't feel perfect. Like it's, yeah, I'm absolutely sure about that. But it's, I mean, it isn't a terrible place for me to be. I mean, he's kind of surroundable though, but there's no restrictions that, you know, before the Allies as a sole, they wouldn't get themselves into a position where they would be surroundable, but this is different. The Germans are pushing, they're on the offensive. Okay, I'm going to leave them there and probably pause this video at some point and look over this again, I think, and maybe I need to try and slow things down. It's just I'm really enjoying playing it, and when I'm coming up I'm wanting to do more, and I was really gutted tonight because I found that error and I just wanted to sit and play a wee bit more of what I'd been at, and I thought, oh no, now I'm going to have to rewind, and it's frustrating, but I want to keep it right as I can make it anyway. Okay, well, we'll leave him there just now, and I think I'll leave the video, I'll just cut that now. It's still been going on a bit anyway, because I'd like to look over that move myself, and maybe now would be a good time to maybe upload this video with that in mind as well, because he's not making an attack, he's nowhere. Yeah, that's all that's happening. So admittedly, oh, don't tell me. I've rewound everything for, and see, I wanted to try and play it out without rewinding everything first, because now this 67 core card's going to become another impulse for them, and it's going to do what I had already done up here. Well, maybe I could just replay that the way it happened, or I don't know. Alright, I'm going to have to think about it. One thing I wanted to mention though, I was watching back in the videos, and it was regarding this infiltration movement and me trying to move this infantry unit down, overstacking and whatever. And I think I gave that a bit of a hard time, thinking it was, you know, we shouldn't be having to do this. Well, it was a bit complex. It was a bit like you had to go forward in time and back in time, and I feel like I've given that a bit too hard a time, because if you think about it, if you're playing, well, me as the Allies, I can easily move a unit to overstack, knowing that I'm then going to move out. Well, within my movement, if I'm moving a whole corps, And I seem to remember doing it in the German solo game as the Germans. You know, you'll overstack while you're doing your movement, and then you'll move them about. I mean, you know what you're doing because you're moving the units yourself. But when it's an AI that's trying to do it, it can't do that. It can only say what is written in the rules and what John and his crew have said. You know. Hi all, sorry, got a cut off. That was last night. I got cut off and I didn't get back. I was discussing. I had a wee glance back. Me being a bit harsh regarding how they've got the things worded for like temporarily overstacking a hex while you're moving the German units, and I think I got my point across it. That was a bit harsh because this is an AI trying to do it. So you would look into it yourself. If you were doing it yourself, you would look into, right, I can move that there, but I could also move that out of there. So you've got to give them the benefit of that too. And if it means, I could see some complex situations where you're trying to look and see, that wasn't too difficult to decide eventually that one of the units was going to move out. It wasn't too complicated. So, and it keeps it fair, you know, that's how you would do it if you were playing that side. I feel like things have got a bit of a mess within this video really, where I think we're making this error with a Piper card and being unsure of where the Piper went and getting cut off there last night when I was trying to explain things. So it's all been a bit of a muddle. Now should I try and finish this command card? Yeah, I think I'll do that. I think I'll, because we've now got, this is going to move across into the command. Piper was finished, wasn't he? Yeah. Because he couldn't attack. But I'm curious. I know I was going on about the restrictions, and I mean, I don't think I can consider the restrictions while I'm moving. Well, I suppose my question would like to be, he's surrounding that guy, but can he still, because if he moves away from it, he's not going to be surrounding it, so that's a restriction. But can he still move away a little bit, you know, one hex, keeping the guy surrounded and following one of the movement rules? It worries me that something says, no, if you can't move the whole thing, then you should just stay where you are. But also part of me feels like where he's moved to there, he's still keeping that guy surrounded, so that should be okay. So hopefully I'm going to get this video uploaded before I carry on with any of that, and any of these things that have cropped up, please let me know what you think. And I do feel much better about this overstacking bit after thinking about it. And like I say, I think I was a wee bit critical, and shouldn't have been, regarding how they've got that set in the rules. Because when you, like I say, when you think about it, you would do similar things yourself. Okay, and I know how I'd said that I'd made a mess and we had activated. I had made an attack up here. You didn't see that, so I've rewound that and started again. So I'm just going to go through that again. I'm not going to try and, I've still got a bit of video footage there, but some things have changed as well. So I'm just going to do this again. So things might be a bit different as well, I'm sure. So we're going to activate that core. So no roadblocks adjacent. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about something else. Hang on. The Piper unit, he moved out of here, and he moved through he could have moved through that hex. So a couple of detachments there, I think. Now there's no, hang on. Yeah, I just wonder about it being adjacent to the allied unit, but it specifically says that a detachment may be placed adjacent to an allied unit. So yeah, so a couple of detachments placed there from the movement of the Piper. Okay, so no roadblocks adjacent to these units. Now their army objective is on the map. They're in the 6th Panzer Army, and it just got moved with the Piper activation. It got moved further west, so It's not going to move. However, they have their own core objective marker too. This is a smaller core, so they're going to move with the core objective situation again, which unfortunately I've still not got any clarification. Like I say, we need to get lucky and have John stop by, I think, to get that one, because there's 2 or 3 other things popped up that I've said army objective, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if this was one of the cores, what would I look? Would I look army objective? Would I look core objective? So anyway, let's not go back into that. This just gets placed in the hex, which is 0506. So that's here. So that gets placed there, and again, that doesn't get removed until there's no allied unit within 3 hexes. Then it's removed from the game, and the core then look at their army objective. So done that. Right, so we're going to move them, but not by 9.22, but by 9.23, moving units with core objective. So they're all adjacent to allied units. They're not going to move. They're their nearest units. They're not going to move. So we can push right on to just checking for attack. Checking ascending order. So unit 4 here. Yeah, so this is the first time this is cropped up. He's got 2 possible attack, the units that he can attack. So we've got to check. It says only 1 attack check as lead unit. If it's adjacent to more than 1 allied occupied hex, calculate the situational strength ratio against each potential target. Conduct the attack check with the highest ratio. So basically you're looking for whatever the better odds are, you're then going to do the check in that hex rather than the other hex. So this is 4 against 3, but +1 for the IP, +1 for a unit adjacent. So that's 4 against 5, so less than 1 to 1. This is 4 against 3, +1 for unit adjacent, so that's 4 against 4. Is that right? Yeah, no forest there, was there? No, they're in the woods. So, what did I say? 3. Yeah, improved position, adjacent to supplied unit. Yeah, so 4 against 5 or 4 against 4. So he's clearly going to. Oh no, that's what I'm not taking into account. Sorry, that's why I'm thinking the numbers are closer than I remember them. If he goes to attack him, this is an active unit as well. So it's 7 against 4. So it's 1.5 to 1. So the check's going to be against this unit, and so it's 7. There's no assault coordination, no that matters. There's no combat, there's no support card anyway. So it's 7 against 3, but +1 for the unit adjacent. So 7 against 4. That's all the modifiers there. Yeah, so we're going to roll the dice. So 7 against 4 is 1.5 to 1, isn't it? Yeah. Right, so let's see what we get. 7. Oh, what do we have modifiers? Attackers include elite? No. Activated by army cards, support card shows up. No, there's no modifiers at all. So that's a 7. So I get kind of feel like this might not happen. Cancel if less than 3 to 1 or attacking from 1 hex. Yeah, so they're not going to attack. Okay, so well that's that one checked there. This one hasn't done a check, but this hex has already been checked now. So if he had another unit adjacent to him up here or here, he could do a check there, but he can't check that again, so he can't do nothing. So this guy's then going to do the check, and again, well, do we need to look at this? This is 5, 6, so that's 4 against 6, and that's 4 against. Well, actually, you know what? Is that forest? That's 4 against 6 too, isn't it? Because it's 3, 1 for the forest, 1 for the IP, 1 for the adjacency. and he's getting 1 for the adjacency, and he's 5 strength. So both of them are 4 against 6. So hang on. If tied for highest ratio, check a VP hex. If none, check the hex closest to the lead unit's army, to the lead unit's army objective marker. Right. They're not VP hexes. Right. I think they're going to be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay, they're both the same distance away. I thought I would then mention the fact that the hex that was nearest in the direction of the army objective, but it doesn't say that. And it has said that before, which would be north, where the 6 pan, it's north it is, which would mean it would be this unit, but it doesn't actually say that in the rule. So the only other thing I could go by is last resort tiebreakers, which was in the errata. If a choice of hex remains after applying all tiebreakers, choose the lowest numbered hex. Well, that's 050 and that's 06, so that would take it north. Okay, so we'll go with that. Seems like that could have been, maybe it's something that's not going to happen very often, but you think it probably would want to check the north for its army objective, because that's where it's pointing. Okay, so the check's going to be against this guy. Well, in fact, is it going to actually happen after all that? I forget it was, what is it, 4 against 6? No, it's not even going to happen, is it? I don't see why. You're all scratching your head saying, why are you even going through that, Grant? Because it's less than 1 to 1 odds, so there's no attack. Right. So I just got carried away with myself there. Okay, so yeah, nothing's going to happen at all then, because none of the units can go back to the reserves, because they're all single units in the hex. And remember, they need to leave. One of the conditions is they need to leave 2 steps behind if they move. So yeah, I don't think anything else is going to happen. Okay, well that's kept it short and sweet, and I'd like to try and get this video put together and let some of you have a look and just see what your thoughts are on any things that have cropped up. I'll try and join this bit carefully, but you know what, I'll just jump on it and you'll see what happens. So going to leave it at that, because I feel like things have got a bit of a muddle, and hopefully I can come back later on this afternoon, this evening maybe. Should be able to get an hour or so, and we'll start with an allied impulse and see how we go on for there. Okay guys, cheers.